Get this, she even says we're all born geniuses, but we'll get to that later.
Born geniuses. I like the sound of that.
Right. She's got some amazing client stories, too. Family reunions, financial breakthroughs, the works.
Wow, that's quite a range.
Hold on to your hats. We've got an expert here to help us sift through all of Gayathri's wisdom and find those golden nuggets you can actually use.
I'm ready.
Ready to unlock your manifestation potential. Let's dive in. Gayathri starts off strong with this analogy. Thoughts are like fruits, and beliefs are like the roots.
Huh.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's a brilliant way to illustrate a common pitfall. So many people focus on positive thinking, trying to force those good vibes, without addressing the underlying beliefs that are shaping their reality. Gayathri argues that that's like plucking rotten fruit while expecting the tree to suddenly bear healthy ones. You've got to tend to those roots.
So if we're stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts, it's a sign we need to dig a little deeper and see what beliefs are feeding those thoughts.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting. Gayathri talks about how our beliefs actually shape our perception of the opportunities that come our way. Let's say you have a deep-seated belief that you're not worthy of success.
Okay.
An amazing opportunity arises, but instead of seeing it as a chance to shine, you might feel overwhelmed, doubt your abilities, and ultimately self-sabotage.
Wow, I can see how that would play out in real life. It's like those limiting beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. So how do we even begin to identify these sneaky beliefs that are holding us back?
Gayathri has a great suggestion, she says, to look for recurring patterns in your life. Where do you consistently struggle? What areas feel like a constant uphill battle?
Okay.
For example, let's say you keep attracting partners who are emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
That could be a sign of a deeper belief that you're not worthy of love or that you're not capable of having a healthy, fulfilling relationship.
Okay, so once we've identified some of those limiting beliefs, how do we start to shift them? Our subconscious minds seem to have a mind of their own sometimes.
They certainly do. Gayathri points out that our subconscious minds are creatures of habit. They crave familiarity and predictability, even if those patterns are negative.
Right.
Change, even positive change, can feel threatening because it represents the unknown.
It makes sense.
So how do we convince our subconscious to embrace a new reality? Repetition.
So that's where affirmations come in, right? I've heard a lot about those, but I'm always curious to hear different perspectives on how they actually work.
Affirmations are all about rewiring those neural pathways in the brain. Think of it like this. Every time you repeat an affirmation, you're essentially creating a new groove in your subconscious mind. At first, it might feel forced or even a little silly. Yeah. But with consistent repetition, that new pathway becomes stronger and stronger, and the old negative pathways start to fade away.
Gayathri even gives a specific time frame, right? 66 days to make or break a habit. That's a pretty specific number.
It is, and she uses a brilliant analogy to illustrate this process. Imagine you're trying to create a new path through a dense forest. The first few times you walk it, it's barely visible. You might even get lost. But as you keep walking that same path day after day, it becomes clearer, the undergrowth fades away, and eventually it becomes your preferred route. That's the power of consistent action, reinforcing new beliefs while the old pathways fade away.
I love that analogy. It makes the process so much more tangible. But let's be honest, sometimes it feels like our bodies are working against us.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to procrastination. Gayathri had some interesting things to say about that, right?
She did. This is where the concept of emotional addiction comes in. Let's say you're a chronic procrastinator.
Okay.
You know it's not serving you, but you just can't seem to break the cycle. Well, Gayathri explains that your body has actually become accustomed to the emotional roller coaster that comes with procrastination. The initial relief of putting something off, the rising anxiety as the deadline looms, and then that final rush of adrenaline as you scramble to finish everything at the last minute.
So we're basically getting our bodies hooked on that stress cycle. That's wild.
It is. And because our emotions are so closely tied to our physical sensations, our bodies start to crave those familiar feelings, even if they're unpleasant. So even if your mind is telling you to get started on a task early, your body might be screaming, wait, I need that last-minute panic to get me going.
So how do we break free from that? It sounds like a real catch-22.
It takes conscious effort and a willingness to step outside of our comfort zones. We have to retrain our bodies by consistently choosing a different action, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Imagine choosing to start a task a week early instead of waiting until the last minute. Your body might initially resist, but as you experience the benefits of reduced stress and increased productivity, those new, more positive emotional pathways will start to take hold.
Okay, so we've talked about Limiting beliefs in the subconscious mind. But Gayatri also emphasizes the crucial role of trauma in shaping our reality. And she has a pretty broad definition of trauma, right?
She does. Gayathri points out that trauma isn't just about major life events like accidents or abuse, but also encompasses all those unprocessed emotions, big or small, that can get stuck in the body. These unprocessed emotions, whether it's a childhood experience of feeling unseen or a recent argument that left you feeling unheard, can create energetic blocks that prevent us from fully stepping into our power.
She specifically mentions childhood experiences as being particularly impactful, even those that might seem relatively minor in retrospect.
Yes. She gives a great example about a child who feels neglected because their parents are always working. That child might develop a belief that they're not worthy of attention or love, which can manifest in various ways later in life, like people-pleasing tendencies or a fear of intimacy.
It's amazing how those early experiences can create such deep-seated patterns. So, what are some practical steps we can take to start addressing these deeper-rooted traumas?
Gayathri is a big advocate for inner child work and the Hawaiian practice of Ho'oponopono. She stresses the importance of healing and addressing these traumas before diving headfirst into manifestation practices.
Inner child work, that sounds intriguing. What exactly is that?
Essentially, it involves connecting with and nurturing those wounded parts of ourselves that were formed during childhood. Imagine having a conversation with your younger self, offering compassion, understanding, and reassurance. It's like being the loving parent you always needed.
It sounds like a powerful way to reparent ourselves and heal those old wounds. And what about Ho'oponopono? How does that fit into the picture?
Ho'oponopono is a beautiful practice of forgiveness and reconciliation. It involves repeating four simple phrases: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you.
Those are powerful words, but aren't they usually directed towards the person who's hurt us?
Actually, in Ho'oponopono, those phrases are directed towards the divine, or a higher power, rather than the person or situation that caused the pain.
That's interesting. Why the divine?
Because at its core, Ho'oponopono is about taking 100% responsibility for our reality. It acknowledges that if something is showing up in our lives, whether it's a challenging relationship or a recurring pattern of self-sabotage, it's because there's something within us that's creating it.
So instead of blaming others or external circumstances, we're owning our role in creating our experiences.
Exactly. The phrases of Ho'oponopono are a way of acknowledging our part, seeking forgiveness for any negativity we've contributed, expressing gratitude for the opportunity to learn and grow, and extending love to ourselves and the situation.
That's a pretty radical shift in perspective. So, how does all this healing work tie into manifestation? It seems like a pretty big leap.
Well, Gayathri believes that true manifestation is not about wishing for things, but rather about becoming a vibrational match to what we desire. She has this amazing quote: you never get $1 million in your life before you become the $1 million person.
Wow, that's deep. So, it's more about internal transformation than external acquisition.
It is. It's about embodying the qualities, beliefs, and energy of the person who already has what you desire. And that's where all the work we've been discussing, addressing those limiting beliefs, healing those old wounds, and cultivating self-love becomes so crucial.
Okay, so how does this concept of becoming tie into actually taking action? I'm assuming we can't just sit around and visualize our way to success, right?
You're right, action is definitely important. Gayatri calls it inspired action, that sweet spot where our internal alignment meets external opportunities. It's not about forcing things or hustling our way to the top. It's about being open to the synchronicities that unfold when we're in alignment with our desires, and then taking those inspired steps when they present themselves.
It sounds like a dance between inner work and outer action. But let's dive into some of those practical techniques for accelerating manifestation. What are some of Gayathri's favorites?
She highlights visualization, affirmations, and embodiment.
Those are popular ones, but how does Gayathri approach them differently?
Well, with visualization, she really emphasizes that it's not just about daydreaming. It's about creating a vivid, multisensory experience in your mind, as if your desire is already happening.
So it's about engaging all those senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, taste.
Exactly. And feeling the emotions associated with that desire, really immersing yourself in the experience. It's like creating a movie in your mind, but you're the star, and the ending is already a happy one.
I like that. It's about feeling the joy and excitement as if it's already happening. So how does that tie into affirmations?
Affirmations are about aligning your self-talk with your desires. But Gayathri stresses that it's not just about repeating phrases mindlessly, it's about infusing them with feeling and belief.
So it's about embodying the energy of the affirmation, not just reciting the words.
Precisely. And that's where embodiment comes in. It's about aligning your actions and behaviors with the person you want to become, the life you want to create.
So it's not enough to just think or say the right things. We have to actually live and behave in a way that supports our goals.
Exactly. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
I see. So it's about creating that consistency between our thoughts, feelings, and actions so everything is working together towards our desired outcome.
Right. And Gayathri even suggests that if you find yourself engaging in behaviors or thoughts that contradict your goals, simply observe them without judgment and gently redirect your energy.
Okay, so we've got visualization, affirmations, and embodiment. Are there any other practical techniques Gayathri recommends?
She's also a big proponent of gratitude.
Gratitude. How does that play into manifestation?
Gayathri believes that expressing gratitude for what we already have opens us up to receive more. It shifts our energy from a state of lack to a state of abundance.
So it's about appreciating the present moment, even as we're working towards our future goals.
Exactly. And she even suggests expressing gratitude for the things we're manifesting as if they've already arrived.
It's like we're sending a message to the universe. I'm ready for this. Thank you for bringing it into my life.
Precisely. And Gayathri emphasizes that the more we focus on the positive aspects of our lives, the more we attract positive experiences.
So it's about training our minds to see the good, to appreciate the abundance that already surrounds us.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can really make a difference in our manifestation journey. Now, Gayathri also has some interesting insights on how to deal with negativity and challenges that might arise.
Yeah, because let's be real, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. There are going to be bumps in the road.
Absolutely. And Gayathri reminds us that challenges are a natural part of life and often opportunities for growth.
So how does she suggest we approach those inevitable challenges?
She encourages us to see challenges as feedback, not setbacks. Instead of getting discouraged, she suggests asking ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this to grow stronger and wiser?
That's a powerful reframe. So it's about shifting our perspective from why is this happening to me to what can I learn from this?
Exactly. And Gayathri emphasizes the importance of self-compassion during those challenging times. She reminds us that we're all human, we're all going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
It's about being kind to ourselves, even when things get tough.
Precisely. And she suggests creating a supportive inner dialogue, treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a dear friend.
I like that. It's about being our own best cheerleader, especially when we're facing those inevitable obstacles.
Right. And Gayathri also encourages us to cultivate a sense of trust in the universe.
Trust that everything is unfolding as it should, even if we can't see the bigger picture.
Exactly. She reminds us that we're not alone in this journey, that there's a higher power guiding and supporting us every step of the way.
And speaking of guidance, Gayathri talks about the importance of intuition, right?
She does. She emphasizes that our intuition is our inner compass, always guiding us towards what's best for us. But sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the noise of our minds, the doubts and fears, and we lose touch with that inner voice.
So how do we strengthen that connection with our intuition?
Gayathri recommends practices like meditation, spending time in nature, and simply quieting our minds so we can hear that subtle whisper of guidance. She also emphasizes the importance of trusting our gut feelings, even if they don't make logical sense.
It's about honoring that inner knowing, even when it goes against what our minds might be telling us.
Exactly. And Gayathri believes that when we trust our intuition, we're aligning with the highest version of ourselves and opening ourselves up to incredible possibilities.
I love that. It's about surrendering to that inner wisdom and allowing it to lead the way.
And she also encourages us to pay attention to synchronicities, those seemingly random coincidences that often hold deeper meaning.
Like when you're thinking about someone and then they call you out of the blue?
Exactly. Gayathri believes that synchronicities are messages from the universe, guiding us in the right direction.
So it's about being aware, present, and open to those subtle signs and messages that are all around us.
Precisely. And Gayathri emphasizes that the more we tune into our intuition and notice the synchronicities, the more we'll see them happening in our lives.
It's like we're strengthening that connection with the universe, becoming more aligned with its flow.
Now, Gayathri also has some interesting thoughts on the relationship between manifestation and our divine purpose.
Ah, yes. That's a big one.
Yeah.
What's her take on finding and living our purpose?
Well, Gayathri believes that each of us has a unique purpose, a reason for being here, and that when we align with that purpose, manifestation becomes effortless.
It's like our purpose is the guiding force, and when we're in alignment with it, everything else falls into place.
Exactly. She even suggests that our purpose isn't necessarily something we find, but rather something we remember.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's not about searching for our purpose out there in the world, but rather about tuning in and remembering what we already know deep down inside.
Exactly. She uses the analogy of a seed being planted in the ground. It already contains all the information it needs to grow into a beautiful flower, but it needs the right environment, nourishment, and care to blossom. Our purpose is like that seed.
I see. So we already have everything we need within us to fulfill our purpose, but we need to create the right conditions for it to flourish.
Precisely. And Gayathri suggests that those conditions include things like self-love, self-acceptance, and a deep connection to our inner wisdom.
It makes sense. It's like we need to nurture ourselves and create a supportive inner environment for our purpose to emerge. But how do we even begin to remember our purpose if it's been buried for so long?
Gayathri recommends paying attention to what brings us joy, what lights us up, what we're naturally drawn to.
It's like following those sparks of passion and enthusiasm.
Exactly. And she encourages us to explore those interests, even if they don't seem practical or logical, because often our purpose is hidden in those things that make our hearts sing.
It's about listening to that inner voice that says, this feels right, this feels good, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Precisely. And she even suggests asking ourselves some powerful questions like, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Or what would I regret not doing at the end of my life?
Those are great questions. They really cut through the noise of our doubts and fears and tap into that deeper knowing.
They do. And Gayathri believes that when we're living our purpose, not only does manifestation become effortless, but our lives also become filled with a deep sense of meaning and fulfillment.
It's like we're tapping into that flow state where everything just clicks
Yeah.
and we're effortlessly moving towards our highest potential.
Exactly. And she emphasizes that our purpose doesn't have to be something grand or world-changing. It can be as simple as being a loving parent, a supportive friend, or even just bringing a smile to someone's face.
So it's about finding that unique way that we can contribute our gifts to the world, no matter how big or small.
Precisely. And Gayathri reminds us that when we're living our purpose, we're not only fulfilling our own potential, but we're also contributing to the collective good.
It's like we're all interconnected, and when we're aligned with our individual purpose, we're also contributing to the greater symphony of life.
Beautifully said. And Gayathri encourages us to see our lives as a journey of unfolding, of constantly evolving and becoming more of who we were always meant to be.
It's about embracing the journey, the ups and downs, the twists and turns, knowing that we're always being guided towards our highest good. This deep dive has been so incredibly insightful. We've explored the power of our beliefs, the importance of healing, the magic of visualization and affirmations, and the profound connection between manifestation and our divine purpose. And I hope this conversation has inspired you to take a deeper look at your own beliefs, to nurture those dreams that are whispering in your heart, and to embrace the journey of becoming the most magnificent version of yourself.
And remember, you have the power to create the life of your dreams. Trust yourself, trust the universe, and keep shining your light.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep manifesting the extraordinary life you were born to live.